Welcome, welcome. It's my dog with the Texas Space Navy bringing you another Star Citizen video. And today I wanted to talk about a couple of things. Let's start off with why I've not been able to post a lot of content here lately, for the last year, really. Most of it comes down to my full-time employment. Job's pretty demanding on time. And then I do have family, so, family's also demanding on time. Most of you guys can relate to both of those. Used to, I had a little more time to do these videos, and I have not had as much time to do them anymore, unfortunately. I'm not stopping. I'm going to make a bigger effort to do more videos. I've even started a new YouTube channel. Definitely check that out. It's Cowboy Golf USA on YouTube. But there's other reasons why as well I haven't gotten as much content. So when I do actually get to play the game, it's not as fun as it used to be. Why is that? Is it because the game's broken? Have I grown past the game? The people that I play with, not fun to play with anymore. I can tell you it's not the people aren't fun. My org mates, the people that I play with on a regular basis, are phenomenal people. They are. Anybody can have fun with this group. They're awesome. It's mostly because of the game. And I do feel if it continues down the path it is, it's doomed to fail. And I hate to say that because I've put a lot of time, energy, and money into the game. And I want it to succeed. I want it to succeed massively. But they are going to have to make some big changes that I don't know that they can actually do. So let's talk about some of those changes that I would like to see. And kind of the impetus for this video was a video from another community member, Avenger 1. I'm not a big Avenger 1 fan. Some of his videos are good. Some of them I don't necessarily agree with, or I don't like his demeanor in it. But I mean, that's fair, right? You don't have to like everybody that does content. And there's a lot of you that may not like me, or maybe there's a lot of you that do. But his newest video, it's about 45 minutes long video. He fairly criticizes CIG, and more specifically, Yogi from the CIG team for what they posted in Spectrum. And he's 100% correct. Avenger 1 is. Everything he had to say was definitely on target. I feel like, yeah, he completely dismantled Yogi's arguments. I think the point of Avenger 1's video was to say that, yeah, CIG has all this data, but the data is incorrect because it's based off of incorrect information. So, if you're solving an equation and you think C equals 2, but it really equals 1, the equation's never going to come out right. So that's kind of what he's saying in his video. Definitely go check it out. It's worth a watch. So this video is kind of in response to that one, because there's one thing I learned in business all these years is if you have a complaint, have a solution. And while I know Avenger 1's had solutions in previous videos or talked about different things that you could do to make it better, he didn't provide one in this particular video. So I thought I would kind of follow it up with my lame attempt at a solution. So you guys let me know in the comments down below what you think of some of my solution ideas here. This is going to be a long video, so buckle your seat. All right, let's talk solutions. Okay, and again, these are just off the cuff of my head. I do have some notes, so I'll be kind of reading those as well, but this isn't like I don't have the coding behind all this. I don't know what their capability of implementing this would be, if they even wanted to, or if they're even going to see this video. So let us hypothesize, talk, discuss, and maybe you guys tell me a little bit about what you think. So, number one, flight should be fun, but easy. Anybody should be able to just jump in their ship, press a button to start it up, press a button to tell ATC they're ready to take off, and then take off and go. Should have 6 degrees of freedom, space, atmosphere, whatever, but obviously, you know, you shouldn't be strafing faster than your main thrusters. That doesn't make sense unless you got big old engines on the side. So make it make sense. But you should have that 6 degrees of freedom. Number two, combat should be fun and easy. So number one, flight should be fun and easy. Combat should be fun and easy. And it should be easy for everybody. So again, you get in your ship, press a button to start it up, press a button to tell ATC, hey, I'm ready to take off. You take off, and then, oh, look, I'm in a fight. I'm going to press the trigger to shoot my guns. Should be that easy. Largely, it's pretty easy now, but that would be the base of it. Now, how can combat be fun and easy? So first off, I would say increase the time to kill. It should take longer to kill opponents. I'm talking, you know, maybe 5 minutes. You know, you got 2 light fighters going back and forth. Maybe it takes 5 minutes for the battle to be completed. And part of that's going to be based off of balance on ships, you know, shields and armor. To me, it seems like, you know, if you have a 5-minute engagement, maybe 2 of those minutes are used to get the shields down, and 3 minutes are to chip away at the armor enough to destroy the ship. Or depending on if it's a light fighter, maybe it's opposite, or maybe it's 4 minutes for shields and 1 minute for, you know, armor. And obviously you can't have continuous fire, so it's going to be a fur ball. Everybody's moving around. Point being is make the time to kill longer. It'll be much more engaging. People will concentrate a little bit more on the firefighting, the fighting part of it a little bit. Number 3, probably the biggest one. No more master modes. Get rid of master modes. Master modes suck. They're horrible. I know some people may like it, but it doesn't do anything that it was designed to do. It's crap. Get it out of here. We already got rid of it once. Toss it out again. Only this time make it permanent. Part of the biggest problem that Star Citizen has, and one of the big reasons why they created master mode, is because you have such a large playing arena to be in. I mean, it's massive. How do you travel from one place to another quickly? So they first had ships doing, you know, like 300 SCM, like kind of base SCM speeds. Then when the playground got bigger, they said, oh crap, well, how do we get, you know, we can't quantum all the way to where we want to go. We don't want people skipping out on all this beautiful content we created. So let's make the ships be able to go 1,100 meters a second. So they added that. And they tried doing that with master modes, and they're kind of back to doing that with master modes, which is stupid. It doesn't work. It just causes more problems. So this is my not so elegant solution. No master modes. Get rid of that nav mode. Just have SCM and quantum. That's it. That's all you need. Yeah, but how do I get from one place to another faster? They can make it to where you can quantum closer, and that's the basic thing. I mean, that's all they need to do. Make it to where you can quantum closer, period. Because I think that nav mode, that in-between mode, is ruining the combat side of the game, the flight model part of the game. Like, I don't think it's, I think when they implemented it, it was just a bad decision all around. They want to have close-in fights. Don't give people the ability to go fast. Take it out, period. No more. Don't let them have that capability. And it makes sense. Your ship is generally, I don't know why they would have, why any ship would have a landing mode, an SCM mode, a nav mode, and a quantum mode. Oh, and to be able to jump through that's 5 different modes for one ship. No wonder why nobody wants to play this game sometimes. Is, you know, like, how complicated is that? Just get in your ship and fly. Oh, well, you know, I need to go over there. Well, we'll talk about my ideas on quantum here in a minute, but just press a button to spool up your quantum drive, which leads me to number 4. Quantum should take time to spool up before you can go. So wait the requisite time for it to spool up, which, again, I'll go into the whole quantum drive stuff here in a moment in more detail, but yeah, wait that requisite time. It depends on your drive and everything else, and then go. Maybe even have to plot on the nav map, or somehow be able to plot it on your screen while you're going before you go. You know what I mean? So make it simple. Number 5, actually use the archetypes of the ships that are in the game. Light fighter, medium fighter, heavy fighter, small multi-crew, large multi-crew, small capital, large capital. I know there's in-betweens, but that's the basic archetypes. And so they need to balance the game based off of one ship that fits each of those archetypes. So let's say a Gladius is your archetype for light fighters. Okay, so generally it's going to be fast, good acceleration, smaller weapons and power and shields, and less armor. Okay, so acceleration and speed gives it maneuverability. Smaller weapons and power and shields means it can put a lot of shots on target over a short period of time before it has to recharge. Maybe it recharges faster because it doesn't, you know, the weapons don't take as much power, or I don't know. They can figure that out. That's not as important right now. It's definitely a big part of it, but not a huge part of it. So armor definitely affects speed. So when you step up to medium fighter, also acceleration, by the way. So when you step up to the medium fighter level, it's going to be a slightly bigger ship. It's going to have more armor. So it's going to be, you know, slower, less, or it's going to have more shields, more power, probably. I don't know if you want to go with stronger weaponry. I think it should probably be the same kind of weaponry that's on the lighter fighters, personally. Just for balance sakes, maybe 1 or 2 fighters can go out of the norm, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But yeah, your stereotypical medium fighter, the Hornet, you know, should have same weaponry as the Gladius, but be slower and brawnier, have more muscle, more armor, more thickness, and maybe be able to sustain fire longer than your light fighter. Okay, because it's going to have those bigger shields and power and everything else. So it'll take longer for a light fighter to take down a medium fighter than it would a medium to take down a light fighter, and that only makes sense. Then you go into the heavy fighters, and they're going to be a little slower than the medium fighters. They're going to have more armor, better shields, and power management, and possibly even stronger weapons. not ridiculously strong. So, take your Vanguard. Usually has a size 4 or 5 nose gun. I would probably limit it to a 4, because now you're starting to go into the larger multi-crew or smaller multi-crew. But yeah, whereas it may have a 4, your Hornets and your Gladiuses may have 3 or 2 size, those size weapons. So yeah, your heavy fighters much slower because they have way more armor. They drain power quicker because of the amount of weapons they may have, or because of the size of the weapons. So the recharge rate may be slower, but of course it hits a little harder. So again, it should be somewhat balanced against light fighters and medium fighters. Of course, you don't want a light fighter that's going to be able to just strafe around circles, around that heavy fighter all game long. To an extent, maybe if they get close enough, they're able to stay out of some of the turn radius of that larger fighter. But I don't think they should be able to just stay in that spot. I think the heavy fighter should have the ability to change direction to offset that a little bit. That goes in the whole 6 degrees of freedom. And some of those heavy fighters have turrets as well that should have the light fighter weaponry on them that can also deter ships from getting that close. So that's a whole other thing. But again, balance. Smaller multi-crew ships, like the Constellation maybe, it's generally going to be slower than your heavy fighters, and it's going to have better armor, more powerful main weapons. Maybe it has the 4 Rhinos on it, size 4 guns. And of course it has turrets. So those turrets should be on par with, the medium fighters. It should be able to take on a good 3 or 4 medium fighters and win that fight 9 times out of 10. So yeah, I mean, again, the time to kill, if you're talking about 5 minutes engagement, if it's light on light, maybe a small multi-crew ship versus 3 medium fighters, it takes about the same amount of time, 5 minutes to dispatch them. I'm just theorizing at this point on that. So larger multi-crew ships, let's take the Hammerhead. It's going to be slower than your smaller multi-crew ship. It's going to have more armor, better shields, and all the weaponry is going to be harder hitting for the most part. Possibly on par with that of a small multi-crew ship. So the Hammerhead fits that bill with all the Rhino repeaters or whatever, the size 4 guns on all the turrets. So yeah, I think that's a good archetype for it. Then you go into small capital ships. So we're talking, the Polaris and the Idris could possibly fit, and that's more of a medium, I guess, as far as playable capital ships, but it kind of falls in that category. Perseus maybe, even though it's not technically a capital. 890 jump. Anyways, they could be faster than a larger multi-crew ship. So like the Polaris could be faster than a Hammerhead. Probably not, but it should have, maybe there's one out there that does. But it's generally not going to be faster than, like a smaller multi-crew at all. It's going to have larger, less penetrable shields and armor, better weaponry all around, better power distribution, and all that. As a matter of fact, I think that the shield should be strong enough on that small capital ship that it's extremely difficult for fighters to do much to it. Call me crazy, but, I think it should take a large amount of volume thrown at that capital ship for you to bring those shields down if you're in fighters. Now, if you're throwing torpedoes or something at it, that's a different story, and we'll kind of get into that in the future as well. But yeah, then you go into large capital ships, which are your bigger ones like the Javelin or the Idris, and they're slow moving. They have really big weapons. They also have other weapons of varying sizes to deal with the different other ships. And of course, they have the best shielding and armor in the game. Again, I don't think fighters should be able to really do much to a capital ship. Like, the armor should be too thick. The shields should be too strong. Again, if you could get 100 players shooting at a javelin at the same time and around the same spot, well, not even the same spot. I mean, you should be able to overwhelm the shields eventually, in that situation, or chip away at the armor. But that's 100 people, shooting at one ship at one time. So that's a pretty tall order. But again, torpedoes and stuff like that should be able to do those much bigger damage. So in general, we're talking larger the weapon, the harder it hits, the more power it uses, and the slower that the projectile moves. And with all the different kinds of ships in the game, having a light fighter that's slower than a medium fighter, but it might have a bigger gun, could make sense. Or a heavy fighter with a lot less armor being as fast as a medium, I mean, that could make sense as well. So there's a lot of variations there. I mean, like I said, there's already tons of ships in the game. But you do need to base the balancing of the game off of archetypical ships. Pick those ships and say, this is the baseline, and now we're going to deviate from the baseline. But we can't go too far outside of one category, or we're already into another one. Is the F-8C a heavy fighter, or is it a medium fighter? Right now, you have no clue. Under this, it's probably considered a heavier fighter due to the amount of guns it has, but it lacks maybe the armor that the Vanguard has. So, again, you balance it based off of, your archetypical ships. Missiles. Missiles are one of those things that are a little bit more difficult when you want to have close-in combat. Because if you look at modern combat, and Avenger 1 did a great job of pointing this out, when missiles were implemented, combat ranges extended long range. So missiles are more of a long-range weapon. With that said, if they're going to be in the game, you should be able to spoof them, dodge them, otherwise fool the missile, get out of the way of the missile. Now, you don't want to make it so easy that missiles become null and void, unless you actually take missiles off the board and only have them useful against bigger ships. So like, even the smaller ships that carry missiles, maybe their missiles are good against, bigger ship shields or something like that, or against the smaller multi-crew. So if your fighter has missiles, maybe it's better against smaller multi-crew or larger multi-crew ships. But torpedoes and stuff against bigger ships makes sense. Like, you're going to need that to get those shields down. You're going to need that to do massive hull damage. So I would almost take missiles out of the game for fighters and just have it on multi-crew ships and capital ships. That's my personal opinion. I know a lot of people may not agree with that, but I really think that would improve combat and keep it closer like they want it to be. Yeah, let me know what you think about that. So for the people that get engaged with combat and they don't want to be in combat, like they don't want to stick around, then there's a lot of people out there, especially in my org, that don't really want to participate in combat unless they absolutely have to. They want to avoid it at all costs. They will be able to engage their quantum drives, but it's going to take time for it to spool up. So say you're in your prospector, pirates show up and they're gladiuses and they're trying to engage you. So you break off from your mining and you start spooling up your quantum drive. Again, it's going to take some time, depending on the quantum drive you have. The better quantum drive, maybe it spools up quicker. Maybe it jumps further. I don't know. But while it's spooling up, because right now when you switch modes, your shields go away and all that. Now, when your quantum drive's spooling up, your shields aren't going away. You still have shields. You're still able to maneuver. You're still able to fight. I think you should still be able to fire your guns. All right. Your quantum drive is a specific drive that's there to propel you large distances over a short period of time. It shouldn't necessarily drain all your shields and all your weapon capability. I mean, yeah, no. I think give people the ability to defend themselves, especially since you take away the nav mode, right? So they can still maneuver. They can still do all those things. But they have to wait on the quantum drive to spool up. And then when it does spool up, they have to be on target to jump for, I don't know, like 5 seconds or 7 seconds or something like that. So in other words, that's when they're going to be their most vulnerable. So when they turn to get on target, they have to stay on that target and go that one direction for 5 to 10 seconds before they quantum away. So yeah, I think that for me, that sounds like a better solution for those, for quantum mechanics. Now, if your quantum drive gets damaged or knocked out, I mean, if it gets knocked out, you'll have to repair it before you quantum away. But if it gets damaged, maybe it spits you out somewhere between you and the location that you wanted to go. Or maybe, it puts you someplace random. Okay, that's kind of random already. So I think, if it gets damaged, there's a chance that it should just drop you out of quantum as you're going, and you'll have to fix it before you get back into quantum. Now, here's something else I want them to add to the game, and it's already been kind of controversial in the Discord. By the way, if you want to join our Discord, it's TexasSpaceNavy. There should be a link down below in the description of the video. Join the org as well. Like I said, fantastic people. You can't beat them. But I think quantum drives should leave a quantum signature. What do I mean by that? So I think that some drives, anyways, should leave a big enough quantum signature that with the right tracking capability, somebody could be able to find that quantum signature and follow you to where you quantum jumped to. Okay? That doesn't mean you're still going to be there when they get there, but, bounty hunters might need this. Search and rescue teams might need this. So I think it's going to be implemented as more than just a pirate saying, oh, well, we got, a terrapin on site and it's going to track your signature, to where you quantum out of so we can finish you off or steal your cargo. Though that is a more practical possible use of that. I do think that there needs to be some level of quantum signature that can be traced. But the better the drive, the less likely that you can be traced, or maybe the signature disappears quicker, or it's completely dampened. Maybe you have a stealth, signature. There should be all those different possibilities capable, that the game's capable of providing us, in my opinion. So one more thought on just getting rid of master modes and only having SCM and quantum. Because everybody's always going to bring up, well, what about Afterburner? And I do think that there needs to be some sort of capability of going just a little bit quicker. Because how else are you going to engage a M50 or a 350R if you're in a Hornet? They can just stay away from you, right? How do you solve that? And Afterburner could solve it. And I think that's why they initially brought it in. But you definitely have to limit the Afterburner. We're not talking 1,100 freaking meters a second. If your ship's capable of 300 SCM, maybe it boosts you an extra 100. 25 to 50% over your normal. Okay. And then it's also going to be draining your fuel like crazy. So it would be only used in specific situations. Otherwise, you might run out of fuel, and it could take forever for you to scoop up the fuel. And I'm thinking if you go into fuel scooping mode, because they said a lot of ships are going to have the capability, that's when you say shields cannot be on or powered on for ships. Why? Why would I say that? Because in lore, you could definitely write it in there that says, if you have shields on while scooping fuel, it could lead to explosions, you know, as you scoop up the fuel particles, as the shields interact with those particles. Now, it doesn't make much sense if you're just flying around and you get in a dogfight. Although that could be kind of fun if saying, hey, this area is covered in fuel particles. You can't fight with your shields on. You know, that might be kind of neat, but that's a whole nother thing. So yeah, if you're scooping fuel, maybe the way that they just interact, you know, the full fuel scoops and the shields, it doesn't work together. So your shields are down during that time. Just another little caveat. But yeah, I think if you have afterburner in, you really can't allow it to go so fast that it completely changes the close-in combat, the nature of close-in combat. So it definitely needs to be short-lived if you have it, and it can only be maybe 25 to 50% higher than your normal speeds. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Like I said, I'm, you know, afterburner, I'm still thinking maybe only 10%, but again, if you're going 300 SCM and you can only go 10% higher, you're still not going the speed of 350R at regular SCM if you're in a Hornet. So yeah, it's got to be 25 to 50% over the normal speed so that you can maybe catch them or stay with them or whatever. But again, you're going to drain all that fuel out. So I don't know. These are just some of the things I'm thinking. So again, you got to make flight fun and easy. Combat should be fun and easy. No more master modes, just SCM and quantum. Quantum should take time to spool up, and let's actually use the archetypes and balance the game based off of, you know, one ship in those archetypes, to where, you know, you have the variation, but hey, you know, you're a medium ship if you meet this criteria, right? That's what I think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Be sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button. It really helps. Sorry about how long this video is. And again, I'm trying to get more videos out for you guys. So I'm going to try to get a few more for you guys over the next few weeks. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I get the time to do it. Thank you for tuning in. Definitely check out my other channel, Cowboy Golf, and I'll leave a link in the description down below. I'm Mud Dog with the Texas Space Navy, and I'll see you out in the verse.